It feels good, man.
X-PRO3 for street photography. Let's talk how I've set up my camera, this Fujifilm X-PRO3, and what lenses I'm using and are excellent on Fujifilm X-PRO3 for street photography. Hi there and welcome to my channel. My name is Tudor Matescu and I like to talk about photography cameras, photography gear, tips and tricks. So if you are in content like this, please subscribe now to my channel, because I'll post more content about Fujifilm cameras and Fujifilm tips and tricks and other cameras. So let's get to the subject. Why Fujifilm X-PRO3 for street photography? Well, this is a dream come true camera for street photography. If you are asking me, this is a dream come true camera. I am loving it a lot. So I've used a lot this X-PRO3, and what it's the most important part that I feel I need to address here. Why Fujifilm X-PRO3? Because this camera will help you make better pictures. This camera will help you make better pictures. It's extremely important when I'm looking at my pictures done with this camera compared to X100V, compared to my Micro Four Thirds cameras, compared to my Sony cameras and so on. I feel that this tool is helping me get better pictures because I am forced in a way to use the optical viewfinder or to use the screen, but I don't know, all the ergonomics of this camera are helping you, how I've said, take better pictures. So this is my conclusion after years of using this X-PRO3 and other cameras. When I'm looking in my Adobe Lightroom catalog, I have one of the best pictures, street photography pictures, taken with Fujifilm X-PRO3. So this camera, it's helping you improve your photography. And I've talked why the design of the camera, it's influencing your composition techniques. Check link in the card here. So now let me address the best lenses from my point of view that you can use with your Fujifilm X-PRO3 camera. So the best lenses from my point of view are the small lenses for street photography. So here I have Fujifilm 27mm f2.8 Mark II on my Fujifilm X-PRO3 camera. So this lens is making your Fujifilm X-PRO3 camera very small, very compact, and the 40mm field of view, it's an excellent field of view for street photography. Also, the optical viewfinder with this lens, it's perfection. The next lens, it is the 80mm f2 lens, a popular field of view, the 28mm field of view. You will not see the frame lines in the optical viewfinder, but you see some corner indications. What you see is what you get in that optical viewfinder. Yes, I would have preferred a frame line, but it's a workable lens with the optical viewfinder, but also with the screen. Also the 80mm f2 that had some AF problems on the older models, it's working on Fujifilm X-PRO3 excellent. The next lens, of course, the perfect lens for your Fujifilm X-PRO3 camera, it is the 35mm f2 lens, the Fujicron lens. This lens, it's also perfection on Fujifilm X-PRO3. The feeling with this lens, all this metal build, all this weather sealing, all this package, it's a 50mm dream come true equivalent package. So fast AF, very good image quality, very compact, acceptably light for a camera like this, because you don't want a light camera when you are buying X-PRO3. You want a camera that you can feel in your hand, that it's helping you have that trust in your camera, that you don't have a very plasticky, easy to carry camera. The weight, it is something when you want an X-PRO3. It's helping you balance the camera better and to maneuver the camera better. So perfect weight, build quality and top-notch image quality of X-PRO3 with the 35mm f2 lens. And the next lens, the hardest to find for a good balancing package, because not hard to find this lens now, but for me it was hard to decide why this lens. And this is the 56mm f1.4 Sigma lens. I've recently done a review about this 56mm f1.4 on Fujifilm X-PRO3, check link in the card. And this lens, it's also perfection for an 85mm equivalent field of view on your Fujifilm X-PRO3 camera. Why is that? Because Sigma 56mm f1.4 is very small. The lens is very small. It is a compact lens, easy to carry, with good AF, light, excellent lens. So these lenses are perfection on your Fujifilm X-PRO3 camera. So now, after I've shared with you my street photography lenses on my Fujifilm X-PRO3, the best lenses that I feel that are performing extraordinary on Fujifilm X-PRO3, let me share with you first my Fujifilm X-PRO3 street photography settings. So my settings are pretty easy, but I will underline some important settings. First of all, I want to see the frame lines all the time in the optical viewfinder. So I don't want the eye sensor to work when I'm shooting. So for making these settings, go to Menu, Screen Setup, Eye Sensor Settings, and set eye sensor shooting off. So this setting will help you have all the times the frame lines of your lens in your optical viewfinder. If you aren't making these settings, you will have a lag when you will raise the camera to the eye level, and this lag, it's ruining all the experience, all the analog experience with Fujifilm X-PRO3 camera. So this setting, it's very important if you want to use the optical viewfinder with the frame lines. The next setting that I like to use a lot, it is Sports Finder mode. I've made a special video about Sports Finder mode, check link in the card here, but I've attached the Sports Finder mode to this button, the front button. So when you are pushing the front button, you will have Sports Finder mode activated. For Sports Finder mode to work, you need to set mechanical shutter on, just mechanical shutter. Sports Finder mode will not work with electronic shutter. Sports Finder mode, it will help you crop 25% more from your lens. So this means that you will have two lenses in one lens. This is helping you have better composition with your lenses. So I can transform my 27mm f2.8 in a 50mm equivalent lens when I'm using this lens on my Fujifilm X-PRO3, but also I can transform my 80mm f2 in a 35mm equivalent lens. So this is huge, it's very important and very fun and very nice to use. So this is why I've attached a custom button like here to the Sports Finder mode. The next button that I use, it is the ISO, Auto ISO button. So I've attached Auto ISO to the top button. So FN1, it is Auto ISO settings. For Auto ISO for street photography, I like to have the following settings from ISO 100x60, so the lowest ISO, to the biggest ISO 12,800, and minimum shutter speed, this is very important, 1/500. So these are my Auto ISO settings for street photography. And also in street photography, I really like to control the aperture with the ring of the aperture ring of the lens. When I don't have a lens with aperture ring like Sigma, I am using the rear dial to control the aperture. But for an f1.4 portraiture lens, yes, I'm using this lens almost all the time at f1.4. The next setting that I'm doing is regarding the AF. Especially use X-PRO3 in AFS, in AF single mode with these lenses. But with Sigma 56mm f1.4 and with Sigma 30mm f1.4, so with f1.4 lenses, when I want to have my subject in focus, I use AFC with tracking mode. AFC with tracking mode. And the Sigma lenses are working very good in AFC with X-PRO3. So AFS single mode for the majority of my pictures when I'm doing street photography where I want lots of depth of field. So when I don't want that shell of depth of field, but when I want the shell of depth of field, I'm using AFC with tracking. That it's working okay on Fujifilm X-PRO3. Also, I've set up in my menu flicker reduction to on. I want flicker reduction especially at night when I'm using the mechanical shutter. Also, for the optical viewfinder, I've made the following setting to clean it up. So I want a very clean up optical viewfinder, but also electronical viewfinder and also LCD. So I am going to the settings and I clear all that I don't want to see. I just let ISO, shutter speed and aperture. So I really don't want other information on my screen or on the optical viewfinder. To do this, go to screen settings, display custom settings, EVF, LCD or OVF, and check what you want to see and what you don't want to see in your optical viewfinder. Also, for the optical viewfinder, I have large indicators on. So when I'm taking the camera to my eye, I'm able to see first when I'm pushing the shutter button, the exposure setting. So I can see the shutter speed, the ISO, and of course the aperture if I forgot to change the aperture. Also, in the optical viewfinder, I've let the exposure compensation to show, because it's possible to bump the exposure compensation dial and not to see if you have a wrong setting on your camera. So these are all my settings that I'm seeing in my optical viewfinder. Simple, easy, big and bright, and these settings aren't interfere with the composition. So this information aren't polluting what you are seeing. So I'm loving it. The next way of shooting that I want to address is shooting by night. So these settings are working till the night is coming, till the dark is coming. When it's dark outside, I want to do manual settings. Yes, I'm using AF, but for the exposure, I'm using manual settings. So I'm using the dial to set my shutter speed at a fixed value. When it's night outside, I'm using 1/60 or 1/125 if I have an f1.4 lens, and I'm using the lens of course at f1.4 or f2, and auto ISO, because the ISO will put probably the ISO to the right level, because it's possible when I'm going from a scene that it's having some light to another scene when it's more dark, if I would have a fixed ISO to ruin the photo. And because I don't want to change the ISO constantly, I'm just setting my shutter speed, setting my aperture, and let the camera decide for the ISO. And of course, I have no problems in using big ISO levels with my Fujifilm X-PRO3 camera. So if you're liking this content, please support my channel, give it a like, give it a share, check my affiliate links to support my work, and please be sure to watch my other videos about Fujifilm cameras that will appear right now. Bye bye!